I would suggest that for the clamshell thoracotomy, what do? We do the clamshell because that gives us best access.
Yeah.
Those that are very skilled in doing thoracotomies do a left lateral thoracotomy because they're very used to that and they're very used to the access. But we don't do them very often, so we want best access that we can. So we would recommend a midline incision and go from xiphisternum to pubic symphysis, and the only deviation is around the umbilicus because that's really hard to cut down the middle of, and cosmetically, should you get her back, not ideal.
Okay.
So xiphisternum to pubis, one long midline incision. What layers are you expecting to find as you incise?
Skin, subcutaneous tissue, I think it's a linea alba.
Yeah, so the rectus abdominis has a nice avascular linea alba where it joins. So try and cut through that avascular plane rather than going through the muscle and getting lots of bleeding. What's going to be under that?
Peritoneum.
Yeah, so in your adrenaline-fueled state, you may well cut straight through the peritoneum as you're cutting through the linea alba. If you don't, then you need to try and identify the peritoneum. Ideally, pick it up with 2 pairs of hemostatic forceps, snip between, and then divide up and down. And why do we do it that way? If somebody's this pregnant, then chances are all the abdominal contents are going to be pushed up out of the way of your incision. But if somebody's only 24 weeks pregnant, then the bowels are going to be lying pretty much right under the peritoneum. And if you do get her back, you don't want to give her a bowel perforation and sepsis. So that's just to separate it from the underlying bowels and try not to divide the bowels as you're going. But it's a nicety. Chances are you're going to be straight through that peritoneal layer with your scalpel. And then what's under that? You've got a uterus. Yeah, you're going to have a big gravid uterus, and if she's this pregnant, the blood is going to be way down there, and pretty much it's uterus you're going to see. How are you going to divide the uterus? So we are just going to go for the same incision we did down the abdomen, and we're going to do a vertical midline incision because it's easy. We don't want to be no niceties about this. This is a quick and dirty, get the baby out. So a central midline incision. And again, ideally, make your first nick with the scalpel and then scissors up and down, because what's right under that? Baby, yeah. So if you get carried away with your scalpel, you're going to incise the baby, which is less than ideal. So uterus up and down, and sometimes after you've made the first nick, you can just separate it with your fingers. If they're very pregnant, it's going to be really soft and friable, and you may just be able to effectively tear it. But scissors cut it up and down. Then there's baby. Yeah, so bring baby out. So you're going to put 2 clamps on, divide it between the 2 clamps, hand the baby off to whoever you've nominated to do the resuscitation. Yeah, so it's recommended to take the placenta out, and you're probably just going to be able to literally scoop it out with your hand. So this is at this point you need to think, how can I stop the bleeding? So probably packing at this stage is all you're going to have time for. So you just want to pack it with whatever you've got. So we've got gauze, we've got combines. And then you kind of close it as best you can over the top. Are you going to suture it, staple it closed?
Yes.
No. So it very much, you have to make that decision on a case-by-case basis as to why you're doing this. Whether you're doing it to save the mother, or whether the mother's got unsurvivable injuries and you're doing it to save the baby. If your mother has unsurvivable head injuries, for example, you're not going to worry about any of that, and you're going to focus all of your attention on the neonatal resuscitation. If you think your mother is viable and you're doing it primarily to save the mother, and if you save the baby, that's a bonus, then you may choose to concentrate on the mother and let the paramedics who are neonatal resuscitation trained to a degree start the resuscitation on the baby. Or you may split your HEMS team, and then you need to have had a discussion, ideally on the way to the job. Okay, so there's no right or wrong answer here. It's just something you need to have explored with your paramedic on the way to the job. So you've got that shared model, because now is not the time to be having that discussion. It needs to have been had beforehand, so that this is when you go into automatic mode.
And I'm going to suggest that this is a point to remind you guys then that you need to all be capable then of doing both. Because you might be working with someone who says, I can't do that, and you need to do that. And actually, as a HEMS team, we want to be able to have interchangeable roles, because you need to be able to potentially manage both of these situations.
And
okay?
tomorrow we have a workshop on neonatal resuscitation.
And just quickly, with all of that kit that Sarah's just talking about, you need to be thinking about, where do I get this stuff from?
I'm loving your confident surgical technique there.
And then I've got linea alba to cut through.
Adiposity, that looks like fat to me.
That's fat, is it? Okay.
Looks like fat to me.
Yellow fat, so I need to go a bit deeper. Ah, there's my rectus muscle and my linea alba. located quite carefully so not to insides. Is that peritoneum? Great. I'm just going to reflect back the peritoneum if I can. Okay, so
Are you really happy?
thank you.
Oh my god, is that her uterus?
I think that's her uterus because it's all pink and I can feel a baby inside it. Okay, so knife to uterus now. And I'm just going to get my hand in there. I don't want to damage baby. Big cut.
The membranes are still intact. Oh
I'm just
my
going to
god.
snip the membranes. Alright, delivering baby. Who's ready? Is Michael back ready? Okay. Ready. Watch out for the amniotic fluid.
Cord's
is
wrapped around it.
around the baby.
You need to cut the cord.
Placenta.
I've got the.
Would you like to clamp it before you cut it?
I would. Michael, can you find another clamp in this set? I've only got one to hand.
Absolutely. There should be one in the neonatal set.
Second clamp, thank you. Alright, cutting the cord. Baby to you, Michael. Thank you. Thank you. The centre is still in. I'm very glad the baby's okay, but Mum's still unwell, so if we can focus in on Mum for a moment. We've still got the placenta in here, so I'm just going to deliver the placenta. And the
Did you want us to restart CPR?
Oh yes, please. Yes, sorry. On the chest. And the amniotic sac is coming with that. There we go. I'll just put that on the many packs. Alright, we've got quite a bit of bleeding down here, so I'm going to need all the packs that we've got open.